Hello students, I am Dr. Akanksha Srivastav and I am Associate Professor in Department of Business Administration at Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management and Development Studies. In today's class, I am going to discuss the Payment of Bonus Act 1965, and this is the part from a subject named Employee Relations and Labor Laws, and which is there in MBA third semester. So, let us start with the topic, that is the Payment of Bonus Act 1965. In today's class, what I am going to cover, the introduction part, in which I will explain that what is the basic meaning of bonus, what is the introduction of bonus, then scope and coverage, where this act is applicable, that I will cover. Then according to this act, what is the definition of employer, that we will discuss today, and employee entitlement, those employees who are entitled for the bonus, that we will discuss, and we will discuss about the eligibility criteria and disqualification criteria which makes an employee eligible for the bonus and which makes an employee disqualify for the bonus. What are those conditions? We will discuss them also. Then what is the concept of minimum bonus and what is the concept of maximum bonus, that we will discuss. Then there are two bases of bonus. One is your based on profitability and the other is productivity. So, what are these bases? We will discuss. On the basis of this, how you will find out what will be the bonus, that we will discuss. And at last we will discuss the exact amount which is payable as bonus, that we will discuss in today's class. So, let us start with the class. Okay. Introduction. Bonus is a way of sharing the profit in the industry, right? Whenever any employee gains any kind of profit, the employer has to share that profit with the employees. Why an employer should do this? For the purpose of encouragement of the employees, right? Or I can say to motivate them. And if the employee is motivated, if the employee's encouragement level is high, then automatically it will enhance the production, or I should say it will enhance the productivity of the establishment, right? According to this act, it has assumed a nature of deferred wage, as it has to be paid to employee even if there is a loss in the organization. Actually, before the enforcement of this act, it was totally employer's choice, or I should say it was totally employer's wish. If he wants to share his profit, then he will share the profit, and if he do not want to share the profit, then he will not share the profit. But after the implementation of this act, it is mandatory for the employer to provide a certain amount of bonus to his employees, and this certain amount is known as minimum bonus. We will discuss the concept of minimum bonus later on. The condition for minimum bonus, if there is loss in the organization, right? If there is a loss in the organization, in spite of that, employer is liable to pay the minimum bonus to his employees, right? So, This was the introduction about the bonus. Okay. Now let's see scope and coverage. The act is applicable since 25th September 1965 and extend to the whole of India. Okay. And it is applicable, there are certain conditions for that where it is applicable. Number 1, all the factories as defined under the Factories Act 1948, those establishments who are registered under the Factories Act 1948, in those establishments this act is applicable. This is the first condition. Second, all other establishment means what? Those establishment who are not which are not registered under the Factories Act. So what is the condition there? 20 or more workers. If any establishment is there where 20 or more workers are employed, then in that establishment also this act will be applicable. One more condition is there, that is what? Central or state government can extend its provisions to any establishment employing less than 20 but more than 10 workers. Yes, if central or state government may want to extend the provision of this act to those establishments where less than 20 but more than 10 employees are working, central government can do this, right. One more important thing in this line is any day. This is what? All other establishment wherein 20 or more workers are working on any day during an accounting year. What is the meaning of on any day? Just assume in any financial year, just for one day there are 20 employees in the organization, right. So this act will be applicable. And in labor laws, in a case of labor laws, if any act once applied is always applied. Right. If this act is once applied, then it is always applied, right. So this is the scope and coverage of the Payment of Bonus Act 1965. Okay. According to this act, what is the definition of employer? In case of factory, who will be the employer? The owner will be the employer. If owner is not there, then occupier of the factory will be the employer. Alright. Agent of owner and agent of occupier will be the employer of the establishment. In case of deceased owner or occupier, deceased owner and occupier, what does it mean? If owner dies or occupier dies, in that case any legal representative or any legal heir will be the employer of the factory. In case of solvency, if establishment has become insolvent, then in that case any official receiver or any official assignee will be the employer of the factory. And according to the Factories Act 1948, according to this, the Factories Act 1948, there is a position or there is a definition for manager. If any person is placed to this position, in the case of if these persons are not available there, in that case this manager will be the employer of the establishment, right. Then the other case, other than factory, if the establishment is not registered under the Factories Act, in that case a person or authority having ultimate control over the affair of business, Any person or authority who is having the ultimate control over the affairs of business, that person will become the employer of the establishment. Employer, what is the meaning of employer? Employer means what? Who is liable for the payment of bonus. The person who is liable for the payment of bonus, that is known as employer. And these are the persons who can be employer in case of factory or in case of other than factory. Okay. Now, employees entitled. Who are the employees who are entitled for this act? A skilled worker, unskilled worker, manual worker, right? Any worker engaged in managerial staff, supervisory staff, administrative staff, technical staff, clerical staff, or daily wage worker. That means what? Irrespective of the nature of work in which the employee is engaged, irrespective of the nature of work, whose monthly salary is up to rupees 21,000 and who is working according to the terms of employment, that employee is entitled for the bonus. He can claim for bonus to his employer, right? So, irrespective of the nature of work in which the employee is engaged, right, who's working, whose monthly salary is up to rupees 21,000. It is according to the recent amendment, right? Before it was when this act was came into force, and at that time it was 3,500, then afterwards it was 10,000, and recently it has been raised up to 21,000. Okay. So, any employee whose salary is up to rupees 21,000 and he is working according to the terms of employment, that employee is entitled for the bonus irrespective of the nature of work he is engaged in. Okay. Now, we will further continue employee entitlement. Probationer. Who is a probationer? When any organization hires any candidate, a new candidate, so for a particular period of time, say 6 months or 1 year, right, that organization observes the performance of the employee or observes the behavior of the employee. Okay. So, for that time period, there is a observation of behavior and there is a observation of performance. After that, that employee will become the permanent employee of that organization. So, for the period when observation is going on, that period is known as probation period, or any employee who is working in that period, that is known as probationer, right. Now, temporary employees. Who are temporary employees? Temporary employees are those employees who works for any project, any kind of project or any task, okay, who's working for any project or any task, they are known as temporary employees. Then part-time employees. Who are part-time employees? Part-time employees are who works for 4 hours a day, 6 hours a day, they are part-time workers. Then retrenched employee. Now, what is retrenchment? It is basically termination of services due to the employer's incapability, right. Retrenched employees are those, or retrenchment is what? Termination of services due to the employer's incapability. So, those retrenched employees. After that, piece rate system workers or time rate system workers. Piece rate system workers are those workers whose wages are based on per unit production, those are piece rate workers. And time rate workers are whose wages are based on for how many hours they have worked, they are time rate workers. Seasonal workers, seasonal employees. Seasonal employees are those employees who works in a seasonal establishment. And what is a seasonal establishment? Seasonal establishment are those establishments which cannot run throughout the year, which cannot operate throughout the year. For example, sugar mills, right? So, any employee who is working in a seasonal establishment is known as seasonal worker or seasonal employee. Again, an important point, any employee first dismissed due to any reason and then reinstated will be entitled for bonus for the period of dismissal if the salary or wage is given. Just imagine in any establishment there is a condition, due to any reason any employee first dismissed and after some time he will be reinstated. So, will he be entitled for bonus or not? If he will receive the salary for that dismissal period, then certainly he will be entitled for the bonus also, right? This point is clear. For the time any employee receives the salary or wages, he will be entitled for the bonus also. Apprentices, apprentices are also, you understand apprentice, the trainees, they are also entitled for bonus under this act, but other than those who are registered under the Apprenticeship Act 1961, right. So, any probationer, temporary employee, part-time worker, retrenched employee, piece rate or time rate system worker or seasonal employee or any employee first dismissed and then reinstated or apprentice other than who are registered under the Apprenticeship Act 1961, they all are entitled for the bonus and they can claim for bonus to their employer, right. Okay. Now, what is the eligibility criteria for bonus? Employee works at least 30 working days in an accounting year. In any accounting year, in any financial year, if an employee is working for at least 30 working days, that individual employee is eligible for bonus. And how we will calculate these days? How we will calculate? Days for which salary was paid. I have told this before also. Days for which salary was paid, whether the employee was physically present or not. If employee receives the salary for the days, we will count those days, irrespective of that employee is physically present in the establishment or not, right. Now, salary. There are so many components of salary, okay, but according to this act, we will only include 3 components. And what are these 3 components? Basic salary, dearness allowance and food allowance, right. We will add or we will include only these 3 components for salary. For example, total components for any employee, if we add on the total components of salary, right, and it is greater than 21,000, fine, it is greater than 21,000. So, what we will do? That employee will not be entitled, but we cannot add the total component of salary, what we can add? We need to add only these three components, and if these three components are up to 21,000, then that employee is entitled for bonus. We are not going to take these total summation of all the component of the salary, right? We will only add these three components, and if the total of these three components is up to 21,000, then that employee is entitled for the bonus. Now, what are the conditions which make an employee disqualify for bonus? The first one is fraud. Okay, if any employee is indulged in any fraud kind of activity or any misconduct, then that employee is not entitled for bonus. If any employee shows any riotous or violent behavior, then that employee is also not entitled for the bonus. Theft, misappropriation or sabotage of the employer's property, of any of the employer's property, then that employee will also be not entitled for the bonus. So, these are the conditions which makes an employee disqualify for the bonus. Okay. Now, the next thing is the concept of minimum bonus and the concept of maximum bonus. So, first we will discuss the minimum bonus, right? When we discuss about the minimum bonus, or when we think about the minimum bonus, there is one thing which we need to keep in mind, that is age of employee, right? In context of minimum bonus, the age of employee. If the age is less than 15 years and if the age is 15 years or above, there are two cases when we talk about minimum bonus. First case is, in the case of employees less than 15 years of age, in that case what will be the minimum bonus? 8.33% of the salary and wages, or rupees 60, okay, whichever is higher. In case employee's age is less than 15 years, now you are thinking less than 15 years, then I am talking about child labor, okay, and child labor is illegal. But let me clear you, according to the law, those individuals who are under the age of 14 years, they will come under the category of child. The individuals who are 14 years or under the 15 years, they comes under the category of adolescent, and adolescent can work, right? So, here in the first condition we are talking about the adolescent. So, in case of adolescent, in case of the employees whose age is less than 15 years, what will be the minimum bonus? 8.33% of the salary or wages, or rupees 60, whichever is higher, right? In case of employees 15 years or above, this will remain same, 8.33% of the salary or wage. What is changing here? That is rupees 100. Here it was rupees 60, here it is rupees 100, whichever is higher, that will be paid as minimum bonus. In maximum bonus, there is not much. It is very simple, 20% of the salary and wage. 20% of the salary or wage will be the maximum bonus for any employee. So, this was about minimum bonus and maximum bonus. Now, basis for bonus. There are basically two bases for bonus. One is profitability, one is productivity, right? So, how we will calculate the bonus on the basis of profitability? First we will take that. First of all, we need to calculate the gross profit, and it is different from the net profit, right? This is the step 1. You need to calculate the gross profit. After calculating the gross profit, step 2 is you need to calculate the available surplus, okay? And how we will calculate available surplus? We need to deduct 4 items from the gross profit, and then we will get the available surplus. And what are these 4 items? Depreciation, development rebate, direct taxes, and such further sums specified in schedule 3. If we subtract these 4 items from the gross profit, then we will find the available surplus. After finding out the available surplus, what is the step 3? We need to find out allocable surplus. According to section 194 of the Companies Act, in any financial year, in any accounting year, and here I am talking about the companies other than the banking companies, right? It will be 67%, allocable surplus will be 67% of the available surplus if dividend is not arranged. If company has not made any kind of arrangement for the dividend, then the allocable surplus will be 67% of the available surplus, right? Otherwise, it will be 60% of available surplus if dividend is arranged. If company has made the arrangement for dividend, then the allocable surplus will be the 60% of the available surplus. And this allocable surplus, finally this allocable surplus will be allocated for bonus, right? Now, amount payable as bonus. In this table, I have taken 3 things. One is your allocable surplus, one is your minimum bonus, and another is your maximum bonus. And I am going to discuss here 3 conditions. What are these 3 conditions? And in these conditions, how you will decide which is the exact amount which you will pay as bonus. Number 1. If allocable surplus is less than minimum bonus. For example, if allocable surplus is rupees 60,000 and minimum bonus is rupees 1 lakh, then minimum bonus is rupees 1 lakh will be paid, because there is a condition according to the act that you have to pay the minimum bonus, right? Second condition is if allocable surplus is more than minimum bonus but it is less than maximum bonus. In that case, we will pay allocable surplus as our amount payable as bonus. And the third condition is if the allocable surplus is more than maximum bonus, then in that case we will pay maximum bonus as amount payable as bonus. So, these are the 3 conditions. Number 1, where allocable surplus is less than minimum bonus, in that case we will pay minimum bonus. Second condition, where allocable surplus is more than minimum bonus but less than maximum bonus, then you will pay allocable surplus, and if allocable surplus is more than maximum bonus, then you will pay maximum bonus. So, we will continue the other important provisions of Payment of Bonus Act in the next class. Thank you.